Hi, I'm Jordyn DiNatale, and I play Ruby Lane on Fear Street. You're watching Pop Culture with Pat, and remember, you always hurt the ones you love.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we are headed back to Fear Street with one of Shady Side's killers, Ruby Lane, played by Jordyn DiNatale. Really excited to have you on today. Thank you for coming on the show, Jordyn.
Hey, Pat, it's nice to be here.
So now all the episodes, or movies, I should say, of Fear Street are officially on Netflix, and it was really cool because your character Ruby Lane got to be in all three films. What was the audition process like for that? And did you, because I know this happens sometimes, with a lot of like actors, did you audition for any other characters, in the other film or in that film or any of the other films?
Yeah, so I did audition for other characters. I auditioned for Dina.
Oh,
Um, yep, and I auditioned for not gosh, what's her name? For the part that Julia Rewald plays.
oh, yep, Kate.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, what is her name? So I auditioned for Dina and for Kate,
Wow.
which was really fun. And so I did those auditions, and then that's how I met our director Lee, from doing those auditions. And then she was like, I think I have something else that I'd like you to read for, and it was Ruby Lane. And so um,
Did you know, like initially when you ended up, she was like, "Hey, I got this idea for you. I want you to play Ruby Lane." Did you know that you were going to be in all three films initially, or is that something that kind of like evolved as like they were working on the other ones?
Yeah, no, that was already pretty much planned. Like they had already written the scripts mostly. Of course, there were like a ton of rewrites, but they had already had the outlines of all three scripts. And basically, Lee said to me, she was like, here's what we have. We have this song, and she's like, I kind of know what I want, but just kind of like do whatever you want to do. Just play around with it. And because I was like, do you want it to be sung? Do you want it to be like kind of like a spoken word kind of thing?
Yeah,
And so I played around with it, and in the audition, I used like my metal nail file as my weapon
that's awesome.
because it just like like we usually don't use props in auditions, but I felt like it was
Yeah,
like one of the ones where a prop would be useful. So
yeah, no, and I think, hey, I mean, as far as like the song goes, definitely whenever your character was, was showing up and you can hear that singing in the background, it was pretty creepy. I would say definitely one of the creepiest aspects of the film. So I think you nailed it as far as like that goes.
cool, thank you. Yeah.
Now, going into these films, were you familiar at all with like the Fear Street books? And did you like once you got the role, did you do any kind of like research as far as like maybe reading any of the books or anything like that?
Yeah, so I wasn't really familiar with Fear Street, but I was familiar with Goosebumps, which I think like
Yep.
most people were. I read Goosebumps when I was younger with my brother. I have an older brother, so he was like always reading them.
Same.
Yeah, and so I was very familiar with that. So then yeah, I definitely I looked up Fear Street. I was like, oh, what's this? And then I read like I didn't read like the full books, but I like read some, passages and stuff.
Okay.
And when we were on set, like during hair and makeup and everything, we would read out loud like passages from the books because it was really fun.
That's fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
myself, I mean, same thing. I think Fear Street at the time, because it was aimed for like a little bit like older like audience than like Goosebumps. So like I was like a Goosebumps like kid like growing up. So I had knew like of like Fear Street. I had heard of it, but I had never like read any of the books or anything like that. But I actually just like picked up one of the there's like a book and has like three or four of like the stories like all combined into it. So I'm really excited to start digging into them because I've heard a lot of good things about like the books. So
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah, they're really fun.
yeah, so I'm really excited for that. Now, Fear Street, it does have like a really dedicated fan base as far as like with like the books go. Is that as like an actor, is that more challenging going into a role where you have like these high expectations, from the fans and kind of they have an idea of what they really want to expect versus let's say if you had another role where you're going in and it doesn't already have like a built-in fan base and you can kind of have a little bit more freedom to like play around with characters and the story. Did you find that like challenging going into this role like at all?
I think I think it wasn't challenging in the sense that it wasn't like I wasn't like nervous about it, but it definitely makes you think. I mean, you want to do a good job for any project, but it definitely just makes made me think like, I have to make sure like I'm really on top of my game. Like I said, which I'm thinking for every project, but just kind of like an added layer of it.
Yeah, no,
Because you don't want to let down any of the fans. And I did a show where I was one of the lead characters in the second season, and so the first season had such a big fan base. That was another situation as well where,
yeah. Was that the,
yeah.
are you talking about the Birch?
Oh yes, yeah, in the Birch.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I had not heard of that, and when I was just doing a little like research, I saw like the short and saw like a couple like episodes, and I was like, wow, this is a really cool show. I hadn't heard of it before, so I got to check out a little bit of that. I'm gonna have to go back and finish that up. So yeah, no, I completely understand. With any project, obviously you want to go in and do a good job, but yeah, with this, it's like you have the fans, and from what I've seen, that I think you guys did a good job of paying tribute, to like the books, like hitting that, but also being able to like bring in new fans to the franchise, like as well. Now, I love how your character Ruby Lane, she has this really cool like backstory, and we get to learn a decent amount about her. I would love if we get maybe another like movie or something focusing on like with her like later on down the road. But was that mythology, was that already created for you in the script, or did you have like any input as far as like that character goes, like when you were talking to like Lee or anything like that?
So most of all of her backstory that you hear about in the movies was created in the script as part of the story and everything. And
Yeah.
in '78 with Nurse Lane, that is kind of like the driver. Like what happened to Ruby with what's going on with Nurse Lane. So that was all written into the story. But Lee and I did talk about like just some, like other backstory things, just like maybe like what was going through her mind like while she was killing, and probably nothing because she was under a spell and like a curse and all this stuff. But I remember we were talking about the song "You Always Hurt the Ones You Love," the one you love, and she said that that's probably the song that Ruby was listening to like when the curse kind of came over her, and that's why it's just repeating over and over again in her head. So that was kind of like a fun thing to play around with.
Yeah, no, actually, I didn't even think of that, but that would make a lot of sense, and why she just always like sings that song. So that's really cool. No, when we first meet you in 1994 in the first film, we see you like on like the street, and you have all these these different like cuts and scars and stuff like that. What was like the makeup process, and like as far as like prosthetics and things like that go for you?
It was crazy. It was so much fun though. So it was all designed by Christopher Allen Nelson, who's the department head there for the makeup, the FX makeup, and so I mean he showed me like preliminary sketches of what he wanted it to look like,
Yeah.
and then I went and I had to get the prosthetics made for my face and for my arms, which was cool. And then basically the makeup took like 2 hours every day, sometimes longer.
So I mean, yeah, I can imagine like sitting there, but it must have been a lot of fun just getting like all this like stuff done to you. But like sitting there for 2 hours getting this this stuff applied like every day, that must have been like a little bit of a challenge, but fun at the same time.
Yeah, it was fun because like the hair and makeup trailers, like the people you meet, the artists are just so amazing, and it's so much fun to just chat with them and talk to them, and they're like really doing like hard work. They're like artists. They're focusing, they're painting the scars and getting the color right and matching colors and everything. And so it's just really fascinating to watch them work, and they're like working on you. So it's just like a crazy experience.
Yeah, no, some of the stuff that they do, yeah, it's just like wild. I got to be an extra on like one film, and so I got like a very tiny little bit of like hair and makeup, but it's just like it's so crazy that it's like, oh, like I didn't even realize I had to go like do that. But yeah, just to see some of the work and stuff they do, it's really interesting. So I imagine with your character getting to watch them, that was a lot of fun, like you said. Now, you throughout the three films, you had some really cool scenes, as Ruby Lane. One of the ones that like first comes to my mind is when, you know, we see you in that first film and, you know, Simon's like walking up to you and he goes to like check to see if like you're okay or whatever. And then you kind of attack him, go after him with like your blade, jump on top of him, and then you end up getting shot. So what was, can you just talk a little bit about like filming like that scene?
Yeah, definitely. That scene was really fun. So my stunt double, Jessica, uh, she did a lot of the crawling across the ground because they couldn't put down pads because they wanted it to be such a wide shot. It was kind of like that aerial shot.
Yeah.
And so, so she had to do it like on the asphalt. And so kind of really got her knees all banged up.
Yeah.
So she was just like amazing at her job. She was fantastic. But it was cool because I had to do, you know, like I had to learn, the stunt coordinator taught me how to look like I got shot, like, you know, like how to move my body correctly, which was interesting. And then, um, you know, there was all the safety stuff going on too because of the gun and everything. And like, you know, like, do you want earplugs? Do you not want earplugs? Like stuff like that. That I had to decide about, but mostly it was just, it was fun to like learn how to, you know, move my body and, just like grapple with all that. It was really cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not every day that you get to, you know, pretend getting like shot. So I mean that must have been, yeah, kind of fun just learning how to like move your body and like contort it and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. No, that scene, that was one that I really like wanted to, yeah, to talk to you about because I thought that was, it was just like a lot like going on in that scene for sure. And I know, as a fan watching these films, you know, I had a lot of fun. It just, and it seemed like just from seeing you guys, it seemed like you guys had a lot of fun, you know, filming like these movies. Can you just talk about like your overall experience and if maybe if you had any like favorite moments that maybe were like behind the scenes stories or anything like that that happened?
Sure. Yeah, filming was really fun because we were in Atlanta and I had never been to Atlanta, so it was a whole new experience for me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I got to do a lot of exploring because I had some downtime in between scenes and stuff, and so I got to explore the city and everything, which was awesome. But the rest of the cast is just amazing, just like so much fun. We went out to eat, you know, together sometimes, and just like would goof and gaff all the time. So
That's
yeah.
no, like I said, it seems like you guys, and from, you know, I've talked to, you know, a couple other people, and they said that the set, you know, was just like a blast. So, and I think it really comes across like in the films. You can see that you guys like had a lot of fun. Now, as far as, so let's say if you were on, you know, Fear Street like yourself, and you had to face off against, you know, some of these like three killers. We'll go with, because I mean, there's quite a few when you go to all three films. So we'll go with just like with part one, 1994.
Okay.
Face off against these killers. Which one do you think you would have the best chance against, and why?
That's a really good question. Okay, so if I was just me and not,
Yep, yeah, you
okay,
went with Ruby Lane. Yeah, so it was Ruby Lane, the skeleton guy, and then Tommy, the guy, you know, the guy with
yeah,
like,
Thomas Slater, yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Probably I'm thinking the skeleton guy
yeah,
because you know, he's just like he kind of moves kind of slowly compared to everyone else. And
yeah,
he's got the knife, but like Tommy Slater is like super intense with the axe. Like he was just
yeah.
like not stopping for anything.
Oh
And then
yeah,
I just think that like I think like I might get tripped up from Ruby just because she's like so creepy, and I would be like, what is that? And then like like that second you take to figure it out, she's like already on you.
yep,
So
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, I think that makes sense. No, yeah, Ruby is super creepy, and yeah, you're not kidding. Especially watching 1978 with Tommy when he started, you know, he started like knocking people off, killing people. Like he was super intense with that. You know, it was just like whack, whack, and I was just like was not expecting that at all. So I think you probably made, you know, the best choice like there as far as like that goes. But is there, you know, I know you're very busy, so I don't want to, you know, keep you super long. So kind of to wrap things up, Jordyn, is there anything else that, you know, you want to say to the fans out there?
Ooh, just thank you for watching. I mean, it's been a wild ride. It's been so cool. I think everyone should go back and rewatch all three films now that like, kind of just like to piece stuff together. They have like really great rewatch quality.
Yep.
To be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I didn't realize that. I found that to be really fun. So I hope everyone else goes ahead and does that too.
Yeah, no, that's something that I got to do because I've watched parts, or 1994, 78. I watched those like a couple times, like already, and I got to see. Well, I saw 78 early, and I actually saw 1666 like early, like before it like came out too. So I got to go back and watch 1666 again. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that some were actually waiting until all three came out, so that way they could just binge them like all like in a row. And I was like, that sounds like it would be a lot of fun, just kind of getting to see, because we got the week by week, which I thought was a really cool idea. But getting this to just see them like back to back to back, I think that would be like a really fun experience. So, and
Definitely.
I just want to say too, like congratulations, for you like on this role. I mean, I know that it's kind of like blown up for you, just like the overall like the series. Congratulations on your success with this role, and again, just I really appreciate you kind of taking time out of your schedule, super busy, and just coming on the show to do this interview.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was great to talk with you. Hi, I'm Jordyn DiNatale, and I play Ruby Lane on Fear Street. You're watching Pop Culture with Pat. And remember, you always hurt the ones you love.